This is a masterpiece minted in pure 999 silver. It's relatively huge as far as metal goes. It's 77 millimeters in diameter, and it's about 6.35 ounces of pure silver. And as I talk about some of the details in this, I'm going to throw out a pop quiz. 2 questions. What's the longest running coin design in US Mint history, and who designed it? Because that's who designed this, and this is to commemorate his contributions. He was the master minter in the US Mint. So obviously this is Mercury, the god Mercury, which has been depicted on coins and medals for thousands of years. Mercury was a god to the ancient Greeks and Romans, and he was a messenger and patron of merchants, basically of all human endeavors. As European nations would go out and exploring or conquering, basically, they would hope that they would go out in ships and bring back goods. So that's what this kind of represents right here, kind of a wreath and a cornucopia of abundance. And Mercury always had wings on his helmet and then wings on his ankles. That was like to wish him a swift journey and safe journey there and back. So I call this piece Mercury out of the ethers, because it kind of looks like he's emerging from another dimension. And that's kind of what it means, was they would hope that the gods would protect them. Gods that existed in other dimensions would oversee their journeys in a safe way and come back with something to improve the conditions of their lives. So I just really dig this. I have a few of these. I have them in bronze. And in silver, of course. Now, anyway, the answer to the pop quiz, the longest running coin design in US Mint history is the US penny, the Lincoln penny. And it was Victor David Brenner that designed the US penny. Just to give you an idea of how big this metal is, that's a penny. You can see the width, right? It's a big piece. It's a big chunk of silver. So this penny has been the same way since its inception. This penny was on the Mars Challenge rover. It's a significant image. Brenner was basically the nation's premier medalist for 19 years when Theodore Roosevelt chose him after seeing a bronze bas relief of Lincoln that Brenner had sculpted in 1907 based on an early Civil War photograph of Lincoln. And Roosevelt considered Lincoln to be like the savior of the Union, so he thought Brenner was the guy to do it. And Victor Brenner was born in Tsarist Russia, 1871. At 13, he worked with his dad cutting stone and seal engraving. He later engraved fine jewelry and sculpting. He immigrated to the U.S. in 1890, but he lived in Europe for years and worked with all the master engravers in Europe, like Roti and even Rodin saw him in his youth and predicted he would become one of the great sculptors and engravers, which was prophetic. So, he had a long, successful career here. So this is a great piece. It's a beautiful, beautiful piece. The reverse shows a very high relief. You can see it popping out of, this is Lincoln, of course, and then this is the engraver, Victor David Brenner. And this hatchet in the wood represents humble origins. Both these guys basically had no real education, and they started with little and rose to great heights with innate talents within them. So that's what the log cabin represents, humble origins. So, but, this is a pretty spectacular piece, to say the least. It's like one of my favorite ones. I have about 3 or 4 of them. The execution of this medal was aided by Robert Stephen Schabel and Tolvo Johnson. So it was a collaborative effort to create this piece. I think there were about 1,500 of them made. They're all numbered on the edge. Yeah. So one last look.